The following program contains adult language, poor taste in jokes, racial slurs, political slurs, slants, and all sorts of things that if you are sensitive and have a delicate constitution, you should probably go watch Teletubbies. You were warned.
Hey kids, welcome back to Roto Talk.
Hey kids, welcome back to this wonderful Monday evening. It is late in the day. The smoking hot wife is editing some of her photo shoot, and I decided to come out here and finish up this video because we got our parts. Okay, these are from, like I said, the good folks over at Gizmo Motors. Good stuff. This is the GZR2 kit, which I explained in the first video. It is not covered by Zenoah warranty. You avoided your warranty. So, this was the Huff Racing mod engine that was fairly old, pretty tired. And so what did we got? We took everything apart in the last video. I gas bathed everything, and then I used my ultrasonic cleaner, and everything's nice and pretty and clean. And won't even get dirty or nothing hardly. So, it kind of takes fun out of it. So let's see what they sent us in this kit. I went over this before. Now they sent us, surprisingly, a black head. That's interesting. I actually thought this might be a gold head, but that's okay. So there's the gold, or black head. This is our custom ported carburetor. Okay, looks nice. Got a little zip strip there. Let's go ahead and cut this off. Nice. Okay. That's a good little vibration trick there, in case you guys don't know. Take a little bit of fuel tubing, slide it over your needles, and it presses against each other like that, and it keeps you from vibrating loose. It's nice. I like the little slick billet cover there. It's kind of cute. This is a Walbro 23. Let's see. This is a 257 mod. Cool. We have our milled out head. You can see where the milling, where they reported things here. And see what we got here. GZ2 BRC BKS 52690, whatever that means. And then our piston. Ooh, no little arrow to tell me what side's exhaust. Guess it doesn't matter. Remember what I said in the first video, that your piston has an arrow on it, but that's okay. The ring side, that pin, if you guys can see that pin there, goes towards the carburetor side, so that's okay. Good enough. Strange, they took that arrow off. Huh. I don't know. And then we've got gaskets, screws, seal, or ring covers, all this good crap. So we're going to put this guy together tonight. Here's our clips for our pin, wrist pin, head gasket, O-ring for coolant, more carb bolts, or these are from the carb, sorry. Needle bearing, wrist pin, needle keepers, little kind of like a shoulder washer, and two tiny little screws. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our lubricant. I use this stuff for assembly of engines, whether it's bigger engines or smaller engines. Valco Cincinnati Gel Lubes, very, very good stuff. So we're not going to need a whole lot of tools for this. First thing we're going to do, get some of the schmutz out of our way. My screws are over there. We've got to fix that coil. So here is the front of the engine. Now, technically, this is the back. Okay. Now this is where the coil goes. Right here. Your output, And then your flywheel's in here. This is actually the front of the engine, even though the shaft is there. Never understood why they say it like that, but, you know, whatever. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install our crank. Now, remember, this is that GZR 29 that we had before that I dug out of the drawer. So we're going to spray some gel lube. You never want to assemble an engine dry. Stuff, there we go. It comes out kind of funky. I don't know. You just shake it more. It's good stuff, though. Okay, so shaft side. I already lubricated these bearings, by the way, in case any of you are like, oh, "What are you doing?" I'm surprised they don't give you the case gasket with this kit. Give you the head gasket, but that's okay because I have some. There we go. So we're going to do this video tonight, and then we're going to put her in the boat tomorrow and test it. We're not going to do that tonight. Okay. Nice. These bearings are in really good shape. Amazingly. Because this engine's got some time on it, and there's no wobble, there's no nothing there. Pretty good stuff. Now you can see, you can't really screw this up, this gasket. You've got 3 pins. Or do you have 4? Okay, anyway, there's 3, and then you got your 4 bolts. Now what I'm going to do, there's always controversy. Should you thread lock the screws or the holes? It really doesn't matter. I thread lock the crap out of engines because I have had various elements vibrate apart. Okay, so now we're going to slide this on. Just like that. Boom. Perfect. Make sure it's got some. Yep, it's good. Okay. Now we're going to take our 4 bolts. These are the only things I did not clean, but that's all right. And I will assemble this whole thing. You saw me tear it apart with a drill. I am going to assemble it by hand. Okay. So now what you want to do, just snug these up. Okay. Don't torque them down. Not yet. Everything with an engine, whether it's heads, cases, whatever, you want to do in a diagonal pattern. Now with these super tiny engines, I don't know, if it really makes that huge of a difference. But that's just how I was raised, baby. So that's how we're going to do it. Okay, now to torque these down, I just use a box end wrench, and now you're going stainless steel screw into an aluminum casting. So use your head. Don't be ape gripping it. Perfect. Okay, that is nice. Okay. Now, since we're on the back end, we're going to put our Woodruff key. Remember that little key? So I'm going to put them on the shelf. Don't let me forget. We're going to put the Woodruff key in there. Then we're going to take our flywheel. Now you'll notice this is tapered. The shaft is tapered, and the flywheel. Okay. There's your magnets. Your flywheel is tapered as well. So just line up your keyway. And she should, God willing. I just lost my Woodruff key. Okay, so we're going to try this again. I try to angle it down a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. I have it angled. That usually works fairly well. There we go. Okay, that's good. Good. I am going to screw the powell on there real quick, just to hold that into place. Because we don't have a taper lock squeezed on there just yet. I don't want to put, well, I guess we could put this on now. Can't really tighten it anyway. So let's go. Again, I thread lock everything. Some people agree, some people disagree. Do what you want. I don't like my shit falling apart when I'm running my boats. Okay? Killer. So now what we're going to do, since we're on this side, we're going to put in our mag. And that goes simply like this. Okay? But remember what I said. 11 thousandths is usually a fairly good judgment on that. But what we're going to do is just use, instead of getting all geeky and pulling out my feeler gauges, we're just going to use the business card. And again, thread lock. Ooh, bit much. It's alright. Better too much than too little. So what we're going to do, take my business card, and again, if you just want to use an 11 thousandths feeler, rock on. Go ahead. Just like that. Not difficult. Not rocket science. Okay. Screw these in. One of my business cards. Since I don't travel anymore and I pretty much work from home, I don't use them very much except for setting coils. It's alright. Again, torque with care. Done. Give her a rotate, make sure nobody's hitting anything. We're good. Okay. The rear end is squared away so far. Okay. Now on to the fun parts. Now I can feel this gasket up here has a little bit of a ridge. So I'm going to grab, I'll just take one of these. Razor blade. Try not to get it in the engine. So if you can, cut away from the engine. Again, this isn't the end of the world. This is a paper gasket. It's not like it's going to keep your head from seating. Now, if you look at this, there is a specific way these gaskets go in. Okay, it's not symmetrical. So, you can see here, right? Just like that. Okay, so pay attention to that. We're going to go ahead and, yeah, what am I doing? Not ready for that yet. Ooh, probably shouldn't be doing this this late. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take our roll pin and our needle bearing, okay, and our caps, okay, and our new piston. Again, speaking of which, where'd my ring go? Ringo, woohoo! There's a ring around here somewhere. We got to find that. La-di-da. I'll be right back. Right, after a little bit of trouble, I lost the ring. So we're going to spin this onto the piston. Okay, find that pin, which is right there. That's going to be your carb side, and we're going to just stretch it on. It's not like a car piston where you've got to have compressors and all that crap. Okay. Make sure you're lined up with that pin. Nice. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do, so we want that gap, since we don't have an arrow on here, which is really the first time I've ever seen that, that pin's going to go exhaust side. Okay. Hang on a second. Alright. So here we have a brand new piston. Another one. This is for a 30. Let's double check. See, there's your arrow. That's exhaust. And there's our pin. Which doesn't look like it's worth a shit. But anyway, so yeah, I'm right on that. Just want to double check myself. It is kind of late. So, now what we're going to do. I put all my stuff back because I thought, this video's over. Nope. So I lost that ring. Not Gizmo. They did send me one. It was my fault. Alright. So we're going to take this needle bearing, put it through our connecting rod. That's an oil hole right there in your connecting rod, and you got one on the bottom side too. Again, with the spray lube, spray that up. Okay. And then we're going to take our two caps, and you can see I call these shouldered. They're basically a shouldered keeper. Alright. Put those on the sides. This gets a little bit tricky, and we're going to put a little bit of gel lube on there. Make sure our pin is on the right side. Hopefully you can see this. And we're going to maybe.
Uh-oh.
Let me just play with this for a second here. Seems to be awful tight. Now, I have never done one of these kits before. Huh. Very strange. I've rebuilt a lot of engines, but I've never done this particular kit. I'm going to be very upset if this doesn't fit. And it's not. I'm going to take these keepers and swap them out with the old ones. These are the ones that came with the kit. And that thing is not fitting, and I really don't want to force it. So I'm going to see. These are the old ones. I don't know. Might be grasping here. Might have to do some modification. Okay, let's try this again. Pin side. Hopefully I'm in camera here. In view. Wow. Those do not want to fit. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to take some sandpaper. And we'll use the new ones. Let's use 240. So I'm not really sure. No burrs. Everything looks good in the piston. Not sure why these don't fit too well. So we're going to go ahead. And all I'm doing is just sanding these down a little bit. Not going to hurt anything. Give us a little bit of clearance. Not real sure why that Right, with a little bit of effort, I think we've got it. Gizmo guys, I don't know what you guys are trying to do to me here, but it's tolerances are too good, I guess. I don't know. Now, this isn't a video on how to install this kit. I mean, it is, but it's really a video on how to rebuild. If you just bought the stock parts and do what I'm doing, it's the same thing. You know, this, I just took this opportunity to try this kit out, and so far, I don't know. It bothers me a little bit that I had to grind these down. These little washers kind of irritates me a little bit, but not the end of the world. Okay. Now we're going to slide our wrist pin in. Okay. Maybe. There we go. Alright, make sure your pin's on the carb side, which it is. Now, we're going to make sure. Now, this gel lube that I use is sticky. It's really good for assembly, but it's kind of freaks you out a little bit because your stuff doesn't go in as maybe as smooth as you'd like sometimes. Okay. Work it in. It's brand new, so all this stuff will work right in. Okay. Just gonna test this. Yep. Looks like she's good. Okay, so you've got a little tiny gap here. You might not even be able to see this on the video, guys, and I apologize. And if you out there have a better way of doing this than I do, please let me know, because I hate putting these fucking things in. These little tiny wrist pin clips are the biggest pain in the butt. This is the only part of a rebuild I do not like doing. Hopefully I have more of these, because 9 times out of 10, one of them goes flying. Okay. So, I found the best way to do this. And hopefully I don't eat my words. Is to... I need to make a tool. So you need to compress this and get it into this groove. And hopefully you can see this. I don't know if you can or not. It's one of those things that either works or it doesn't. So the first thing you want to try to do is maybe take a flat bladed screwdriver. See? Very, very difficult, as my Japanese buddies used to say. And usually end up with a hole in your thumb. And all the while, see, very difficult to do. Let's try it again. And your angle matters. Okay, so I'm going to push in this pin a little bit. I'm going to make sure that pin's farther than it needs to be down. Okay, try it like this. Very difficult, told you. Okay, so like I said, kids, if you've got a way that I don't know, I've tried doing this multiple ways, and then the other scary bit is you don't want to scar up your brand new piston. Okay, that one looks like it went in. Always keep your finger on the sucker. It's a bad day at the zoo when it flies across the room. Okay, that one's in. I don't know if you can see that or not. Painful, painful. Okay. I'm not going to torture you with the next one. I will do the next one off camera. Be right back. Well, that one actually went fairly well. I have had it, guys and gals, if there are any, I have had it where it's taken me 2 minutes, like just now. That second one I did in the back here took about as long as that one you saw me struggle with there, which actually was pretty quick. And I've had it take me half an hour, and I've blown 3 of them. If you're ever going to do this, you want to, and the reason the piston's not moving real gravitationally, it's just that gel lube. It'll absorb into the gas and burn out. But if I ever do a piston swap or put in a modified piston, and I know I'm going to be doing this, I will buy like 4 retainers because I plan on frying 2 of them. It's just the way it goes. So now we want to put in our gasket, so the tab's going to go to the exhaust side. Okay, just like that. Then it's cylinder time. Now, if you don't have gel lube, you don't have to use that stuff. You can use WD-40 is fine. You know, it's good stuff. All right, so we're gonna pinch. Make sure that our pin is still there. Just making sure I didn't. My eyes are failing me. There it is. Okay, there's my pin. It's dark in here. It's late. Beautiful night though. So we're gonna pinch the ring together. And on this side, I'm gonna do the same. Nasty stuff. Okay, so exhaust side's over there. I'm going to pinch this ring together and simply do that. Okay, you'll see on the cylinder head you've got 2 shoulders right there. Okay, So pinch your ring together front and back, and then slide it over, and you will be golden goose. Make sure, now my gasket moved. So at this point, what we can do, did they give me new bolts? I don't think it comes with bolts. That's okay. We've got our originals. So at this point, it's actually easier to put your bolts in now for two reasons. One, it's just easier to reach everything. And this will also help center your gasket up fairly well. Acts a little bit like pins. Okay, so now we're going to gently push down, give it a little twist maybe, and she should sit in just fine. Okay, now again, this is a ported, they've done port work to the cylinder head, they've done mill work to the piston. Maybe they need to brush on that one up a little bit. They did lighten the piston, I could tell, but I don't know if I had a burr in there or what. I did file inside the piston where the connecting rod goes just a little bit, not enough to make it off balance or anything like that, and just deburred it a little bit, and it seems to be okay. So, but that's kind of Gizmo, if you're watching, sharpen your CNC or something. I don't know. I mean, the milling looks great, don't get me wrong. I didn't see any burrs, but man, I could not get that connecting rod with them keepers to go in very nicely. Okay. Now, again, if you want to get all geeky and do torque specifications, I don't even know what they are. Just use your head. So we're going to go in diagonal pattern, or cross hatch pattern, if you will. Okay. Beauty. Beauty muss. Okay. Make sure everybody rotates. What am I hitting?
Uh-oh.
So we're hitting.
What are you doing?
Ah, JJ fucked
What
up.
are you doing? What are you doing?
We must take this apart and see. We're hitting something. Got good compression. Alright, I'm going to pop this head back off. Be right back. Alright, well, luckily, it wasn't anything I did wrong. Here's something you might want to take into consideration. You should never probably try to modify a modified motor. Remember, this was that racing Huff, and they had modified it. I think it had a different crank in it. Yeah. And it was bottoming out. I think the connecting rod was a little bit longer, like it had a 30 in it instead of a 26. So when I went to go put in this 26 mod, this GZ2, it bottomed out. So what I ended up doing was shimming it. I brought it up a little bit, the squish or whatever you want to call it, shimmed it up, and it seems to be fine. Okay, so real quick, we're going to throw the plug in. I'm just going to rotate it by hand and see what our compression's like. I'm not going to tighten it down. Oh yeah, it's good. Real good. Okay, cool. So, that is fixed. I took the whole head back off, checked everything. I'm like, there's nothing you can do wrong. It's like, I've done this. Oops. I've done this 1,000 times, man. But I also really don't know what I'm dealing with. Oh, wait a minute. That crank. Oh, that was the problem. I apologize, Huff. I forgot I changed the crank. It was JJ's fault. I put that 29 point whatever in here that I found in the junk drawer. It's a good crank. It's that GZR, but it's for a 30, and it has a longer stroke. So, I'm not sure what that's going to do. We're going to find out. It's all right. What do we got to lose, right? So now, just real quick before I forget, we're going to put this cap seal in. That's for your water cooling. And I had everything put back away, and now I lost everything again. Alright, we'll find that in a minute here. So, next thing's up, the coil. This is like really hard. I think I might just swap this out with a different coil that I have. But to fix these is real simple. There's just basically a, I don't know if I can even dig it out of this one. Probably can. Let's see. Let's see here. We got. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's not worth doing at all. But, you can pull this out. I can't find my. I got some really tiny needle nose that are much easier to use. Pull that out, and all it is basically a barb, and it sticks in here. But this cable is like really hard and kind of dry rotted. I think I'm just going to swap the whole thing out. This is old anyway, so why not? Be right back. Alright, here it is. Under the mess. Okay, put your water seals on. Now what you can do at this point, if you like, is you can put your cap on. So remember, your water flow goes low to high. So this is where I put them. And of course, I Loctite this. Way too much, but that's okay. It'll have overnight to dry, right? Okay, so grab us an Allen wrench, dun, 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 and slap the cap in. Now, this has been probably the longest rebuild of my life for one of these engines. That's mostly my fault, though, taking a K-balled engine and trying to save it. But I basically, normally, I'm not a 26cc guy. I always run 30s in just about everything. And that's good and bad, I suppose. Whatever your flavor is. Normally, I probably would have just thrown this motor away. Where'd that other screw go? That'll turn up. I would have just thrown this motor away, but and just went out and bought a new 30. Or a red line. But this is going to my cracker. And, it's okay. I wanted to try this kit. And aside from that piston, the kit's been, or whatever, the piston milling, the kit's been fine. And even with that piston, I mean, that's not a deal breaker by any stretch. It took 2 seconds to fix. Make sure those are nice and snug. You want that cap to be level all the way around. Okay? We're almost done, kids. Now, remember this? This is that coil. Is this off the Tiger King? Yeah, I think it is. So this is the coil off that old Tiger King that is now officially FUBAR. We'll even reuse the screws. This is a coil relocator bracket. Comes in really handy for certain things. Okay. Yeah, it's a Tiger King coil for sure. So now, go ahead and clip this. So this is the Frankenstein engine. I bet it runs nice though. The shimming shouldn't hurt anything. We're talking like a millimeter. It's not going to break the bank by any stretch. Let's go ahead and put more of that in there. And we'll just pop this old coil up on there. Oops. That'll work out just fine. Now, I don't know if you remember from the last video, but I said there was a... oh, maybe it won't. Doesn't fit. Well, that's interesting. What do I do with the other coil? See that brass? You want that going down, but interesting. I mean, I can make it work. It's not a big deal. All right. Hopefully she gets contact this way. We're going to find out real quick. Not an exact fit. kind of surprises me. I always thought all these coils were the same. It'll work the same. There we go. Just not as precisely molded, I guess. Alright. Then you're going to connect this wire. And anyway, I think I was saying in the last video, I told you there's usually a black wire coming off of here, and I usually cut them off. That's your kill wire, so I don't use them. Okay, and then we can, I'm going to shoot a little bit of WD that cylinder. Okay. Now all we got to do, put on the carburetor. Okay. Oh yeah. Nice compression. I don't like how this coil's sitting, but let's double check. Should be okay. Mix and matching parts here. Yep, we're good.
Yes!
So now, carburetor. Gonna put our standoff in. Now this one is using these funky plastic. Let's see. Okay. Ah-dee-da-dee-da. Almost forgot my thread lock. Always thread lock. In my opinion, guys, always thread lock your carb. I have had carbs rattle loose many a time. Many. Okay, I don't love these plastic gaskets, but it always ran pretty good with it. I never had a problem. Usually the more traditional stuff is like whatchamacallit, like a phenolic black block that comes up. Don't over tighten these too much. Okay, just snug them up. Then we're going to have our carb gasket. Okay, just going to go just like that. Okay, guess doesn't matter either way. Then depends on which gasket you get. I've had it where they only have one hole in them. This one has two. So there's our carb gasket. Here's a carb. Get rid of the screw, we don't need that. Because I use the direct drive jobbies. Right? Where's our other bolt? I had this all nice and organized when this started, and then I couldn't find that stupid piston ring and got everything discombobulated. Always hand start. Give her a little bit of wiggle if needed. Now when you torque these down, even though you're torquing them by hand, bring them down so they're snug, and then snug, 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 tight, tight. Don't just go full throttle cranking tight on one side. Hope that screw goes in farther now. The problem with using thread lock over and over again is you end up with boogers in the bottom of your thread holes. And I don't like these button heads. I usually use traditional cap screws like that, but it's okay. Alright, carburetor's on. Starting to look like a motor, kids. Alright, let's do this side. We're going to close that piston up, keep the dust out and whatnot. Alright, I cleaned off the gasket material on this. put our... It's kind of pointless to put thread lock on the exhaust side. I know a lot of people will be like, oh, use red. Well, red doesn't stay either. Usually it gets pretty damn hot in there. So what I usually do with these... Now there's two types of exhaust flanges. Well, I'm sure there's many more than two, but there's two that I'm used to. What I do with the exhaust gasket, I just had. Shouldn't do this stuff this late at night. I apologize. That's all right. I got some right here. You guys are probably like, dude, it's right there. Probably. I got lots of them. But there's two types that I use, and there's the deluxe version and the standard. The deluxe is much nicer. Okay? The reason it's much nicer is you'll see this screws in by itself, and then the header flange goes this way. The standard version, one screw holds in both, one screw holds in both, and it's a real pain in the ass because you got to mate everything up. Because remember, you got this gasket here, your exhaust gasket, and then you've got your rubber O-ring that goes in here, and another rubber O-ring, and your flange, and trying to get that all in and sandwiched up with two screws makes for a bad day sometimes. Okay. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to fix that hole. Remember that screw that was busted out? I might try that tomorrow. Would have been a lot easier with it taken apart, but I totally spaced it. It's okay. It's not the space shuttle. Okay, there we go. Now, very important detail. I'm going to put new screws, I think, in this bracket. Put your bracket on first, then put on your pulley. Otherwise, you won't be able to get your bracket on if you put your pulley on first. Kind of a duh, but I've done it. We've all done it, probably. So, I'm going to grab some new screws for this stuff. Be right back. Hardware, 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 hardware. All right. Lost it again. So you can, yeah, I think the bracket kit comes with lock washers. I don't use them. I use Loctite, and I've never had one fall out, ever. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. Now, here's another little trick. If you do go in too tight with some of this aluminum stuff, in some cases, you can just use a longer screw. And, you know, because if you use a short screw, a lot of these are threaded down to here. A lot of times you can get away with using a longer screw, throw some Loctite on it, and you'll be okay. You can try retracing the threads or chasing out the threads with a tap and things like that. The only ones that are real boogers are these. These are... We'll get to that. I talked about that in the last video. And this one's killing me. So we're going to go. I have a clutch on this, but I'm too lazy to adjust it. I'm going to hand tighten these. Okay. Is it important to do a cross pattern? No. Not with this, I don't think, but habits, habits, habits. Now let's put this on. Can't believe you guys let me do that. I told you. Always put this on first so you'll never get the bracket on. I'm going to have lots of oops and ahs in this one. Take your 5/8. We're going to crank this down. Nice taper lock. Alright, before we lose the collet, I might replace this collet. I think there's a booger or something in there because I couldn't get that shaft out. Okay. That's alright. Okay. That is guten Tag, as my German buddies would say. Okay, now we're going to tighten up this pawl a little bit too. We're going to tighten it the same way we took it off. We're going to take a 5/8, put it on here, and just give her a little bit of a twist. Doesn't have to be super tight. I mean, super torqued anyway. Good enough. then, do I want to do this? I really need to get this screw out. I mean, I've been running it for like a year or two with just the 2 screws in. So I think for right now, if I get the time and energy tomorrow, I'll tap it out. Put a new one in there. It's not the end of the world. It ain't going to fall apart. I promise. Like I said, I've been running it like this for a while, but should probably fix that. I probably will. It'll bug me. It'll bug me. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to torque these down. I'm just going to let them sit in there a little bit. I just want to get her put together here. We are almost done, kiddos. Sorry it's been kind of not smooth. I had all the intentions in the world. I had my tools out. I had shit laid out on a nice little blankie. Shit, that didn't work. Alright. Now, we're going to put our rail on. It's a spacer, obviously. What do I do with the pull start? There it is. Be right back. Now it says G30 on it, but I think they'll forgive us. Now. And actually the 26 has a different pawl on it. It has like a round disc, whereas the 30 has this heavier duty dude. Now, the pull start is supposed to go that way, but because of the way that I start my boats, I always start from the starboard side or the right hand side of the boat. It's easier to pull it this way for me, so that's what I do. Do what you want, but you guys have seen enough of my boats. All of them are that way. I never, ever put the pull start the right way. Okay, so now, these are the screws that you really want to be delicate with. These things suck. I have stripped so many of these out in my life. And I'm pretty careful with this stuff, usually. And just get them, use your Loctite, just snug them down. And you know what? If they rattle a little bit loose or something, then tighten them up. But, man, it's not going in worth a damn. But yeah, I've had these where it's just one, just using your thumb. This one feels like it's stripped. Now, what you can do, and I've done this. It's not the most fun you'll ever have. Oh, you can't do it on this particular one. But like the GZRs, you don't have the case there, and you can literally put a nut on the back of the bolt. And that's kind of handy, in case you strip it out. Usually what I will do, I might even do it with this one, because it looks like I've got two of them are stripped. I mean, they thread in, but they're not. Maybe not. I'll just literally retap them for a larger screw. I'll put these in. I take a drill bit. I drill out the pull starter a little bit so the bigger screws fit. And we're done. Okay. Look at that. She is finished. Pretty much. I don't think there's anything we're missing. And then we'll pop her in the boat, obviously, and we'll fire it up tomorrow. We'll do a bench test on it, make sure she's got good compression. It's kind of looks good. I don't know. It's trying to save a 26, man. Whatever. I mean, let's. She got pop. She got good pop. We should probably test that spark just to make sure coils. Everything's good on the coil. This plug. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Yep. Actually, here, if you really want to see it well, without my dumb ass shaking it all over the place. Now, notice something. If you pull this thing slow, this is my buddy Alan used to have this problem with his boat. He's an older guy, and he pulled it like a sissy. He'd go like... But if you pull it really fast and sharp, you get a much better spark. It's a little generator, right? So, you know, if you pull slow and sloppy, sloppy seconds pull, you ain't going to get a good spark, man. You want a nice hot spark. And your life will be so much easier. So, the next thing we're going to do, real quick before I forget, because it is late, we're going to take a screwdriver. We're going to bring in the needles. They probably had it set at the factory, but I have my own way of doing things. So half, 1, half, and a little bit of fat. Half, 1, half, and a little bit of fat. Good enough. Take out this idler screw. We don't use those in boats. There you go. Rebuild complete. Took a minute. Sorry about that. Kind of an annoying video, I know, but you know, and again, guys, don't pay attention to this kit necessarily. We'll see how she runs. Maybe it's a great kit. I don't know. But this is basically how to rebuild your engine. So even if you buy the stock parts, the processes are exactly the same, and it'll actually go probably smoother. But I was using a bastardized engine that was modified, that got bastardized by me with a different crank with a hop-up kit. So all things considered, I'm surprised the bitch has compression at all. So until tomorrow, we'll fire this pig up and see how much, there's going to be a lot of smoke, all sorts of crap in there. Keep dry side up. Bye.